So I did a search, and I really wish I remember what the search terms were, but it was something like structured reviews, and might have been culture, and up pops Threads as one of the top search hits in Google. And I click on the link and I go and I learn more about it, and I was standing right over here and I literally went, this is it.
I think we knew before Threads that the employees are what determines the culture. We can help cultivate that or help try and move that culture if it needs to be. When Threads came along though, we said, oh my gosh, now we can measure it. And before that we didn't really have a good way to measure it, but now we can actually look at our performance reviews and say, this person is a cultural fit or this person is not a cultural fit.
I think Threads is a huge help on really saying if these are our core values and they're important to us and we believe that this is how we're going to continue to be successful, that we're actually making the expectation communication known to the employee. And it's the same across the board. So you don't have to worry about one supervisor's impression of this is one way and another person is thinking passion is a different way.
And before Threads, our culture didn't have anything to do with our performance reviews. It wasn't the total solution. And it didn't extend to their performance reviews and to discussions about.
Right, I mean, there's no measurable way to see the impact of doing something like that. They might kind of, hey, that was fun, that was good activity, back to the desk and back to the same old thing.
People first
Right.
is one of our core values. So Threads has been able to help us bring those down to the employee level a lot easier than before. Employees know now, this is going to be involved in my performance evaluations, so it has been a lot easier to permeate down to the employee level.
What really stood out to me particularly, and I know also to our team, is the grid. It's to look at it and say, you fall within this quadrant, this quadrant, this quadrant, or this quadrant. And from there you can determine what you need to do with that employee. And that employee can figure out what they need to do to improve.
One of the things that we really enjoyed about Threads is the fact that we can throw all of the people in similar positions up on the grid at the same time and talk about their scores and how we got to where they are. And we really have established some common scoring principles that are shared with the staff, and we will be willing to provide examples to them, specific examples, in their review process.
For me, I think the comment section probably provides the best value overall. For the ability for anyone in the team to go and leave feedback for anybody is really, I think, is really great.
One of the great things about Threads is just the emphasis on positive, and then you can put positive comments in there and not always have to focus on negativity in reviews, which is, I think, traditionally been what people think about when I think about reviews. In fact, prior to using Threads, I'd have people come up to my office for their review time, and I could just sense this doom walking in with them. And it's like, here we go, we're gonna start talking about all the things I did wrong for the past 12 months.
They love the opportunity that every week they can see something happened or something good happened, whether, like I said, something good or something bad, and they can sit down and meet with that employee and say, hey, you got 5 great comments, or I saw something come through on Threads that maybe we need to talk about, and you can address it right then.
It was easy to give it a try. I wasn't making a huge investment in, different software I wasn't making a huge commitment to anything. And it didn't take long after we got started in it to realize that it was the best decision we could have made.
When you have emails going out every single week that's telling management and supervisors who's not been showing up to work, who's stepped up and displayed a core value, communication on what's happening with a counseling session with an employee, if we have discipline going on, I don't even have to write an HR highlight report because it's just automatically showing up to the managers and supervisors to let them know.
So being able to go in there and do an evaluation and be able to go back 10 months and see that on October 13th of this date, you did this for a resident and it really impacted their day.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful tool.
So in any kind of manager-employee relationship, it's about trust. And that's what I feel with Threads.
The proof of why we do it is because you can see the impact it makes so fast. And no other system's been able to do anything like that.
One of the most profound things of working with Threads that I can think of to tell you the story is just the opportunity to reflect and think about really what we stood for as a company. As I started to write out what are our values, it became evident to me that if I asked each person in this office what our values were, there's 20 people here, I would have gotten 20 completely different answers.
So I don't know, we're kind of risk takers here in terms of taking a chance on a new company if it makes sense. I also really appreciate the fact that you were a manager, you were a reviewer, and so that's where it's coming from. It's not coming from Silicon Valley and people saying, well, this is what we think we should do. It's you saying, this is what I saw in my organization, and this is what would have really helped me in my organization.